Yesterday we saw some heartwarming scenes of family reunions as the Trans-Tasman bubble finally allowed Aussies and Kiwis to travel freely across the ditch without needing to quarantine. Well, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern dropped into Wellington Airport to soak up some of the atmosphere, describing the scenes as like something out of the feel-good movie Love Actually, and she joins us now from Auckland. Prime Minister, good morning to you and welcome to News Breakfast.
Oh, kia ora and g'day. I'm probably giving away my age by referencing a movie like that.
Oh no, look, it doesn't take much to get me reduced to tears at airports. I imagine, though, hopefully it was mostly tears of joy yesterday for everyone. It was a pretty amazing scene, wasn't it?
It was absolutely beautiful. I mean, one of the things that I don't know if you've seen some of the coverage. One of the things that really got me was seeing families where clearly they were introducing new babies for the first time, and that was just beautiful to see. We know that we had roughly 1,800 Australian citizens cross the border yesterday, and then of course a number of Kiwis travelling on Kiwi passports, but knowing that we were welcoming so many Aussies on day one across 30 flights was absolutely magnificent.
A lot of people asking why it took so long, and some being a little critical of that time delay.
Well, actually, for us, it was all about making sure that when we did it right. We wanted to make sure, and one of the questions that we've had consistently since the reopening is how will it be managed going forward? How will we make sure we minimise disruption as much as possible? You know, that period of time that we've taken to make sure that the risk is as low as possible should also mean that we reduce, how much disruption travellers might experience. We know much more about the virus now than we did, even at the end of last year. You've seen that both Australia and New Zealand now know how to manage cases that we might see connected to our quarantine. We use short, sharp lockdowns if required, rather than perhaps in the past, some of the longer, more extended ones. So my view is by taking that time, we can ensure we have something that, whilst may have disruption from time to time, is much more consistent.
What will be the trigger for closing borders? And honestly, touch wood, let's hope it doesn't have to happen, but for travellers to have some certainty about booking tickets?
Yeah, and this is a really key message and a great opportunity for me to say to any Australian watching now who's considering coming over in perhaps the July school holidays, just consider your travel in the same way that you would travel between states in Australia. So say you're in New South Wales and you're considering travelling over to Queensland, no different to considering travelling to New Zealand. We will treat any cases in a very similar way as you see the different states do. If there's a hot spot and it's, for instance, a case of unknown origin and that state goes into a short lockdown, we may pause travel for a time. But if, for instance, it's a known situation, it's connected to a border worker, for instance, then we wouldn't anticipate changing up travel arrangements. So we will not be unlike the way that you've already seen states work. We'll be predictable, and so for anyone thinking about travel, think of us like any other state in Australia, except better.
Good point. Hey, speaking of travelling, Prime Minister, the Australian Foreign Minister arrives tomorrow night. Now, your own Foreign Minister has created a bit of news with this speech, saying that New Zealand's uncomfortable with expanding the remit of Five Eyes, this idea of putting out joint releases, the intelligence group, Five Eyes, I should say, putting out joint releases on contentious issues like human rights abuses. Why shouldn't Western nations be collectively voicing their concerns about countries like China?
Oh, in fact, I would totally agree with what you've just said. Collective countries should, and we should be banding together where we see issues globally that don't align with the values that we share. The point that our Foreign Minister, Nanaia Mahuta, is rightly raising is that best done under the banner of a grouping of countries around a security intelligence platform, or is it best done under the banner of a group of countries with shared values, some of which may not belong to that Five Eyes partnership? So I think it's a point well made. We should be collectively raising issues, be it Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, the United States, or say Germany and others. You know, those collective voices are important, but let's just make sure that we do it with the appropriate platform.
It doesn't risk New Zealand's approach here sending a signal to China that the Five Eyes are not one on important issues like this?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, you've seen us from time to time, actually with Australia in recent times, releasing statements together. And that won't always have been with other Five Eye partners. So no, in our view, of course, we see ourselves as an important member of Five Eyes. The point we're raising is that actually there's a broad community that often, will share those same views. Let's reach out to them. And from time to time, it may be New Zealand and Australia together as well.
Yeah, terrific to have you on the program. Hey, by the way, is the Prime Minister, the Australian Prime Minister, going to make much of the quarantine-free bubble? Might we see him visiting you very shortly over there?
Well, call it good fortune for us at least. It's actually his turn to travel to us for our usual joint leaders meetings. The last time I was overseas was actually for that meeting in Sydney, and so now it's his turn to come to us, which is an opportune moment for us to be absolutely shameless in our tourism promotion while he's over here. So we'll probably be taking him down south for those talks. For the most beautiful scenery you're likely to see in the world.
Absolutely. So great to have you on the program. Thanks, PM. Then you're going to spark a lot of debate now, of course, amongst our viewers. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining me here in sunny Auckland.
She's good.
She's good. What a great chat. Yeah, should it be Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern or Tourism New Zealand boss Jacinda Ardern?
I know, but there are a lot of people eyeing off those ski fields in Queenstown as well.
Scott Morrison, beware. You're about to be shamelessly taken around some of New Zealand's finest areas.